What's up, guys? This is the Motcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Dr. Motley.
And today we have a very special guest. Do you want to introduce him? Or
Yes. A very special guest. To me, he's become a close friend. And he is known all around the world to the point, not to blow his head up too big, but I will say, like, going with him to New York City, I don't know how many people stopped me in him in New York City.
No way.
And was like, thank you for what you're doing. But guys, the best dude I know, Dr. Josh Axe.
Wow.
Dr. Josh Axe.
Man. Well, hey, it's good to be here. I know that, Chris, I mean, you've become a great friend over the years, and I know that we got dinner tomorrow night, Giovanni's. And so, Chris has been, one of my best friends, and so we've, had a great time over the past, year or so, getting to know each other and also talking shop. Yeah. And that's one of the things I love and respect about you. I know you've been on my podcast a couple times, and I'm always so impressed when I talk to you. And I literally told my team, I said, and I'll say this to anybody, I said, one of my favorite people, if not my number one person we've had on my podcast, is you. And I mean that in terms of you actually had the most listens of all even when I interviewed Dr. Oz, everyone else, you had the most downloads. But I said this, there aren't a lot of people I can talk Chinese medicine with, Ayurveda, like these ancient forms of medicine, talk herbs and all of those things. And you really understand nutrition and how it relates to our emotions at a really, really deep level.
Yeah.
And so anyways, man, I love anytime we talk about whether it's,
it's true.
I love about nutrition and that stuff, but, it's, anyways.
And
great.
Whenever we get together, guys, we'll be having dinner or just talking, and then it's always like, Josh, I love it because he'll go, that could be like a wood element thing. And he'll go into this, and I'm like, true. And so I think with him and his wife, Dr. Chelsea, we're talking, and we'll be like, that's a fire element issue. And Josh is like, they probably need to take this herbal and take this spice to help balance it out. And I'm like, somebody that we can talk together and have a good conversation about our world, because people may think we're a little, not odd, but just say, is that what you guys talk about? Like, yeah, that's what we talk about pretty much.
I don't think you guys are odd.
Thank you, my friend.
I think you guys are just super cool. Maybe a little odd. I don't know. I'm drawing connections here. I'm hearing we got Dr. Axe, we got Dr. Motley, we got Dr. Oz. Do you guys all meet up and decide who gets the cool last names or what happens?
I think Axe, I really do. I told him, I said, Axe is the best last name.
I think it is.
Josh just had a baby girl.
You did?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're talking about, I said, when you go to school and your last name's Axe, I mean,
it's pretty cool.
It's pretty really cool, I'd say.
Cool.
So.
I tried to do that with my son. His name is Johnny Scott Danger Lot.
It's awesome. Man.
Teacher, I love it.
It's pretty cool.
Sweet.
And then my daughter is Lavender Rose Adventure Lot.
Wow.
Because we couldn't leave her out.
Man, I love that.
So I've set them up. My middle name is Thomas, so it was real just middle of the road. Nobody cares. You don't care right now. All right, let's get into the interview.
Let's get into the interview. Yes.
How did you guys meet each other?
Well, the first time I heard about Chris was through mutual friends of ours, Sean Johnson East and Andrew East, and they're two of Chelsea and I's best friends. And so they were saying they met you. Was it a charity event?
It's a charity event.
Yeah, charity event. And they're like, hey, have you met Dr. Motley? And I said, maybe I've heard his name before, but kind of refresh me. And they brought him up, and then how do we connect? Because I know
when I met with Andrew, he says, do you know Dr. Axe? You know Josh? I was like, I don't know him. Of course, I've heard of him. I said, but we just never crossed paths. And then I forgot I did a post about, I think it was Enneagram.
That's
and
right.
Enneagram, and then Chelsea, Josh's wife, she reached out and was asking me a question about it. And then I thought, oh man, I was like, how are you? It's great to meet you. And she goes, hey, can I come in sometime to get something checked? And there's like that unwritten rule, like when another doc sort of gets you, like you don't care how busy you get them in. And then Chelsea was so sweet, and we hit it off. And then she's like, I want to bring Josh in, and we started talking. Then we had so much in common. Mm-hmm. And I think the great thing about it is that since we had so much in common being in practice, both of us, and you sort of know the lingo. And so started hanging out after that, and Josh invited me on his podcast, and then I'm so thankful that there's somebody that can I can converse with about the thoughts that are in my head, because to me Josh is taking his thoughts and his ideas. He's a wood element in Chinese medicine, which means he's a great leader. He's stable. People feel safe around because he's so stable. But I mean, he can take an idea and go with it. And I see that. I mean, like, to me, when I can talk to him, is like, Josh, what about this idea? Because he can take it and say, I can see the picture of it. And I don't say that as a detriment to me. I just feel like sometimes when I have a thought, I'm like, you go to people who have gone that route of like how to grow something very big. And to me, it's inspiring. I truly mean that, brother. It's like when you were in practice, that's what I want to get to. Like you were starting to practice so many years ago and then converting into what you do today. First off, I just want to ask, what was your first initial thought of going into health? Like, what drew you into health? I just want to...
Yeah, so for me, I mean, my health journey actually and being interested in health started with my family growing up when I was really young, because I had a family that was really into fitness. My dad was a semi-pro water skier and weightlifter. My mom was my gym teacher in elementary school. She was a swim instructor. So we were always really fit and into athletics. But at 40 years old, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, which was such a shocking thing because she looked really good, you know. And we went through all the conventional medical treatments. And my family lived in what I kind of call the conventional medical model, where we didn't question anything doctors told us. We just took drugs anytime we were sick. And we knew nothing about nutrition. We didn't know about things that were natural. We just had never been exposed to it. Yeah. So my mom went through all those conventional treatments. And, you know, I remember her losing her hair. I remember how sick she got, and just thinking to myself, as a kid, I never want to see anyone have to go through that again. And I also thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. And thank God my mom made it through that. But really, after all those treatments, she seemed sicker than ever. Like my mom was diagnosed with depression, chronic constipation, leaky gut syndrome, hypothyroidism. She got put on multiple medications. My mom was just sick and tired all the time growing up. And so that caused me, like at 14 years old, I said, I don't know much about health, but I know that soda's bad. And I literally stopped drinking soda when I was 14 years old. And, you know, not to say I'd never had it again in high school, but probably a handful of times I just didn't really drink it. And and then I decided I'm going to go and I'm going to study to become a doctor. I decided to choose a path of studying nutrition and in chiropractic school, going through that. And then a year before I graduated, my mom was diagnosed again, this time on her lung. And we decided to take care of go an all natural route. And so my mom, we got rid of all the processed food. She started juicing vegetables, like a lot of celery juice and carrot and ginger and kale. She started doing some ancient remedies like reishi mushroom. She started doing turmeric. We started using essential oils like frankincense and myrrh. We did a whole program. I'm not saying, hey, one thing fixed everything, but we just did a whole program focusing on prayer and her meditating and visualizing the cancer cells dying, saying Bible verses. But again, the nutrition program was really in depth. What we had her doing was pretty much berries, vegetable juice, a little bit of broth, and a lot of these other superfoods, you know. And she followed this program for 4 months. After 4 months, her tumors had shrunk in half. We got a call from the oncologist. Their exact words were, "This is highly unusual. We don't typically see this, but your tumors have shrunk in half." Come back 9 months later, went back 9 months later, complete remission. So
wow.
So my mom actually just turned 67, and her and my dad are retired down from Ohio down to Florida. And they are fit and healthy. My mom's been water skiing a lot lately, like at 67. And so anyways, but that's really what drove me into starting when I did practice in Nashville, it was more of a functional medicine clinic. So we did a lot of what you do, Dr. Chris. We did a lot of nutrition. We did some chiropractic. We did, we did a lot of stuff, a lot of things, and I'm just trying to get sick people well. And one of the things I realized too was, people want a plan laid out for them, and very, very specifically, when my mom got a diagnosis, and a lot of patients I saw. And when I had my practice, it was more of a family practice too. A lot of moms with bringing in their kids and their families. And the biggest thing I noticed is people are overwhelmed today. There is so much information. So what I really try to do is make it simple and easy for them to follow a plan to get healthy and well. And that's still what I try and do today with my website, drax.com, my nutritional supplement company. But that's sort of the, that's how I ended up here.
When you saw the creating information and making it digestible to the masses, like when it started to shift for you, like I'm asking, there had to be a point when people realized, like, this is great info. I want more of you. And when it started to transition, people probably texting you, emailing you, coming in. When did you feel like God had in some way put into your heart going, I can't go this route, like daily one-on-one, I have to affect more people because I feel like it's, in a sense, not say forcing you, but it is, because people want more of that info.
Yeah. So for me, I've always had a passion of speaking and communicating. So my favorite part of being in practice was actually teaching the nutrition workshops, where I'd have groups of people and I would go through and explaining how the body worked and why they needed to consume certain foods for certain conditions and going through that. And so I started a newsletter and I'd write one every week and I'd hand it out to my patients. I had a patient come up and say, Dr. Axe, I'd love to send this to my family in North Carolina, but can you post this online? So we ended up posting it online. And I just realized over time, after I started posting these articles online, all of a sudden I started noticing we were having hundreds of thousands of visits a month to the website, started a YouTube channel, started getting all those views as well. And so really it was when I just started seeing this taking off and realizing, hey, this is my passion, is teaching these things. Yeah. I think that was a big part of it. And the other thing is, people are seeing great results. Like I think, and this is, Dr. Chris, why I love what you teach so much. I'll call you a root cause doctor. Like you look to what is the actual root cause of this condition? I kind of put things in three categories. You have conventional medicine, which is just covering up the symptom. You have more natural or sort of like whether it's dietetics or nutrition or some forms of natural medicine where it's like, hey, you've got candida. I'm going to give you, maybe some oregano and, another herb, capricilic acid or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what they'll do. But you go so in depth in looking at, no, what do you specifically need? And it's true personalized medicine. Personalized medicine is ancient medicine. You look at what happened in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine, there wasn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It was much more, I'm going to meet with you personally, whether it's, today you can obviously do this on like a Zoom video with a doctor, like Dr. Chris, or you can come in and see a doctor like this in person. But when you're seeing a root cause doctor, they're seeing your individual needs of what you specifically need. Because I can tell you, in working with thousands of patients with candida or diabetes or hypothyroidism or infertility or whatever it is, everybody is a unique individual. And where there is some crossover, what people need, for instance, hey, if you've got candida, you can't be eating donuts and sugar and processed carbohydrates, right?
No.
But you've seen this, certain antimicrobials work better for others. So like one patient, it's Smilax or it's Paldarco or it's oregano or it's berberine. Like there are so many different things and everybody needs a different approach. And so anyways, I just wanted to say that too. Like I think that people are realizing now we need personalized medicine because that was the first form of medicine. It was personalized medicine and figuring out why do you have candida? Oh, there's dampness, but it's actually is it in your stomach? Is it in your colon? Is it in your small intestine? Because that actually dictates how you treat different conditions.
I agree. It's like whenever you have...
And honestly, I don't even remember what you asked me and how I got off on that tangent, but anyways. Maybe.
No. Like whenever you become a teacher, like when you find that teaching people that can connect with you on an individual, like a personal level, but you can put information out there to, for instance, like we talk about antimicrobials or how to increase our immune system. And you'll see on Josh's website, which is great, he'll talk about different spices, the different Ayurvedic herbs and spices and the oils that can help heal. And what happens is that people can look at that and it's done in a way that people can approach it. And I guarantee you, if you take the time to read it and watch it and you start taking those things, you'll improve. The beauty of it is he's able to take something that's individual, that's in a general format to people, but can make it individual to them. So because it works, because that's the role of a good doc, is that you have all these options, but you've been enough in touch with people around you and talking to people and educating them. And then you go, I know this is going to work. Like he's going to say reishi and he's like, maybe there's 4 things that helps with heartburn. We don't know. But him being able to talk to people and being in practice for those years and going, I know this will work for you. I'm thankful that there are individuals out there. That's why so many people come to you, is because you've been able to say, I know this works. I've seen this work. And there are a lot of doctors out there that, I hate to say it, when we watch them, they're like, well, they have a general thought about like, this could work or this. I'm like, no, people have been in contact with people. And that's what I love about what your information is coming out.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is, whenever you and I put together health plans for people, it's a major shift. It's a program. it's more of a program. It's not, I'm not going to just recommend one supplement and, hey, tell you to eat healthier. It's more specific than that. And I can tell you, and it depends on the condition, but if you have somebody who I would work with today, which I don't practice anymore, so go see Dr. Chris. But my point here is, if we have somebody come in with whether it's type 2 diabetes or Lyme disease, I am, feel like 95% of the time, I'm going to see a major shift in that condition, major. With diabetes, it's like, I can just tell you right now, you have somebody with diabetes come in, pretty much every meal I have them eat healthy fats, fiber, protein, and a high nutrient diet for their meals. And then for supplements, chromium picolinate, cinnamon is great, holy basil, astragalus to support the pancreas. Like those things are game changers. And then, Lyme disease is a little more complex. You and I both know that there's a lot of different types of infections that can happen in the body, but very similar thing there. Here's the real difference too between the way that you practice with root cause disease and even natural practitioners. It's looking at changing the environment of the body and realizing this principle: the body heals itself. Herbs don't heal you. Foods don't heal you. If I cut my hand here, it'll heal over time. Like your body heals itself. If you've got diabetes, if you have Lyme, if you have any of these issues, your body heals itself. What Chris is able to do is he's able to, Chris, you're able to change the environment of the body and strengthen the organs. Here's the thing. Good. If someone has Lyme disease, their biggest issue most of the time is that they're a combination typically of their immune system and their digestive system are really weak. And so you got to strengthen that. And you do that through reducing stress in certain ways or certain supplements to do that. But just simply taking something that's an antibiotic or a strong antimicrobial, even if it's natural, you may help kill off some of the Lyme, but you're not strengthening the body to where it can fight off. It's this whole principle, like today, like we're going through all this viral stuff, and people are so scared of a virus. But here's the thing. We shouldn't all be worrying and freaking out about a virus or saying, hey, I'm going to wait for a miracle cure or pill or shot or whatever it is. I think our mentality should be, no, I just need to strengthen my immune system, because when my immune system's strong, it's going to fight it off itself. Today, they're saying, who's susceptible to a virus? People with over the age of 70 and somebody with immunodeficiency. Well, people over 70 tend to have immunodeficiency. So what do you need to do? You need to make it to where your immune system's not deficient. And you do that with, what's a deficiency? You're lacking something. You do it with vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, selenium. You do it with certain herbs like elderberry, astragalus, echinacea. But that's the thing people are missing a lot of times. It's like, I want to treat even natural people, you don't treat disease, you strengthen your body's organs and they fight the disease for you.
Gotcha. I get that. Yeah, that's a good. Interestingly enough, my first dabble into the more holistic approach was the Exodus Chiropractic office that was on Old Hickory and Nolensville.
That's right.
My wife and I went soon after we were married in 2010, and I had never.
I grew up still there. Well, I saw you then.
I think you did. Yeah, I don't remember you leading one of the workshops, because if we're talking,
we had multiple doctors in the office. So
and so Dr. Axe looks more like a quarterback, and the guy that led the workshops when I was there was more like a lineman.
Well, you know why? Because he actually played offensive lineman. For a school in Kentucky.
There you go.
And basketball. He played for like Moorhead or something like that.
Yeah. But, okay. So that was my first foray into just the holistic stuff. I grew up in Mississippi. Okay. And so I grew up on Coke and sugar and a lot of sugar. There was so much sugar everywhere.
Pop-Tarts.
Wow.
With
sugar,
maple syrup
cereal, sugar, donuts, sugar. You know what I'm saying? Fried everything. But I had never juiced anything before, and didn't really know anything about chiropractic care just because of the church I grew up in. It was is that of the devil? I don't know if I'm going to.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, things changed when I started going to Exodus. One thing that happened for me personally, I love that you're also saying that it's so individual. Something that happened for me when I started getting chiropractic care is my allergies just disappeared. Yeah. And I had grown up with pretty ridiculous allergies. Not crazy, not all swollen face and whatnot. But the connection, I understood it was, getting my spinal cord straightened, and everything actually helped because these nerves were now free to actually do what they needed to do. Yeah. And this is all cursory knowledge, so you can totally just jump in and be like, here's why you're wrong. But that was just my first, just stepping into the world. And I do think you were there. I'm pretty sure you were, because you would have had to have been, But yeah, that was my first. Now here I am getting to talk.
Now we're talking like hanging out with us.
I know, it's pretty cool.
I think it's a testament to when you have a system. When we're like, if it's at Exodus or as you developed into your products lines, and he has a supplement company. One thing that I find is very impressive. Like I've had 2 stories about Josh. I'll make them quick, but I had one patient that came in and she had chronic anxiety, and it was to the point where when we got her blood work back, it was showing on her cortisol levels and her serotonin levels and brain chemicals, neurotransmitter chemical tests, that it was quite a bit off. And I told some patients about Josh. I was like, you need to go online and order these things. Well, we finally found, I went through, I don't know how many supplements, but it was just because she brought them into me. And I was like, you know what? I think you need some mushrooms. And Josh has a great adrenal support form that has tons of mushrooms and such. I did that. I do body check. I do some muscle strength testing. It nailed it. And so in this one moment, like she went to the medical doctor and she came back and she goes, yeah, most of my anxiousness is about 70% gone. I was like, because mushrooms give energy plus help, or an adaptogen to help build your adrenal glands. But I'm saying, like, when people with Lyme disease or people that come up with a big complicated case, guys, what I think that Josh may not see, which I want to contribute to him and say, hey man, when people take those supplements, sometimes patients would come to me, and not about his, but just in general, they'll go, well, I feel pretty good. But then you get the blood work back and you see how good they really are. Mm-hmm. People don't realize, like, and then you go, can you move your neck better? Yep. Can you have a nice bowel movement? That sounds great on radio. But I'm like, can you? Yes. And I don't think, like, I know you have to get many people say, thank you, Josh, for everything you do. But I just want to tell them, like, even me personally, at the office I hear about. And one more. So I had a lady, this is great. She wanted to be a new patient. And she's a sweet lady. I'll give her a shout out. Her name is Pauline. She's up in Iowa. She said, hey, I heard the podcast with you and Dr. Axe. And man, and she had your supplements in line. She had it going on. And like, but when I got all her blood work back, she was like, I had this condition or these things going on. But just with the supplements, they were all pretty good. I was like, I don't know if you really need me to do. I mean, I'm going to keep helping you and I'll do all this. But to me, it was just a testament. It was like, your supplements did so well, man. And I'm just like, proud to know you too, brother. So, all that to say, as you started to go through, going through the chiropractic office, and you decided to go this route of like, I'm going to go and educate and create nutrition, was it more just like this thought, like, I've got to affect the masses in a positive way? What made you want to get into nutrition? I know you, because your mom and those things, like, you love food.
I do.
I just want to say that as a side note, because Josh, the one thing I love about Josh, he knows his food. Like, he knows what tastes good, and whatever he says, I eat. Go ahead. I'm serious.
Well, yeah, for me, I think, and listen, parlaying this into health too, thinking about that is, I think it's important to do what you're passionate about and what God has purposed you to do. Yeah. So for me, like I've always loved food, and I like good food. And I realized early on, because when I was in college and still getting into health and learning, one of the first things I was exposed to was sort of a fitness or a, sort of the bodybuilder diet. And this is what a lot of people were exposed to. So like I just was determined to be healthy. So I woke up in the morning and I would do, like, I don't know if anyone else has done this sort of diet, but it was like egg whites and oatmeal with nothing else. Chicken breast and broccoli. Tuna so dry you could, you need to drink water to even swallow. Ugh. And a steamed asparagus. Like, that's how I ate. And I would eat like 5 meals, 6 meals, a day. And finally I got to the point, I'm like, this is wearing me out. I'm like, this is the most boring, bland diet. And I started realizing, hey, I can still eat super healthy, and I can add in some herbs and spices and some sea salt. And hey, a little bit of healthy fat, like from coconut and olive, is fine. And like realizing, no, I can be really fit and also look good, and actually be fit and also feel and also enjoy my food. Yeah. And so anyways, I just really started experimenting and trying out different recipes. And so I started going on like this pancake kick, and I started trying to mix all these things. One of my favorites was like, and I put this in my first cookbook, it was for blueberry pumpkin pancakes, seeing like blueberries and pumpkin, they went together in this phenomenal way. And anyways, all that being said, but like I just got really into food, and then I started studying a lot of the Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and realized when you combine certain foods together, it actually has a more impactful synergistic effect on our own body. So for instance, an example of this, many people are probably aware of, turmeric. Turmeric, if you consume it by itself, you absorb very little of it. It affects your colon, but that's it. If you consume it with a warming herb or spice like black pepper or ginger, it actually increases the absorption by like over 100%.
Oh, wow.
To where now, because things that are warming, think about this. If you eat cayenne pepper, or a lot of peppers, you actually will sweat. So things that are warming, they actually open up your capillaries, make them larger, so then certain things then start getting into your bloodstream. So in order to get turmeric circulating throughout your entire body, you consume it with warming herbs and spices. It's funny, a medical study came out like 8 years ago where the medical community like applauded themselves. They said, we just discovered that when you consume turmeric with black pepper, it actually increases absorption. What's funny is there's an ancient Ayurvedic recipe called turmeric golden milk or turmeric golden tea that's like 4,000 years old, which is a mix of turmeric. They called it tricketu. It's a warming blend of black pepper, long pepper, and ginger. Oh, wow. And then ghee, they did a healthy fat like ghee or coconut because fats are important for absorbing the nutrients found in herbs.
Wow.
But anyways, all that being said, like I started then studying, like got into food, and then I started studying like food, like combining certain different herbs and foods together that actually have a bigger effect on the body. But for me, it really is just a passion. Like I love cooking. Like I make Chelsea, like we just, Arwen, our daughter, she's 3 weeks old. And so Chelsea, like, I'm trying to serve her the best just because she's doing, no matter what I would do, like she's still doing more work than me right now. Like she is, you guys know, like with
the feeling.
A newborn. And so like, I'm just trying to serve her the best I can, but like, I enjoy it. Like I'm making her like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all these different recipes, and
she's
we're having a
loving
great time with it. And but anyways, it's really a passion. I would just say that for everybody, when you look at Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or any form of ancient medicine, in fact, biblical medicine, like we need to be doing what we're purposed to do and passionate about. And if you're not, it actually will have a very negative effect on your health. In fact, it really affects your adrenals, it affects your nervous system. And it actually will cause disease if you are, and we've talked about that, experiencing negative emotions, how that affects our different organ systems and creates disease. So anyways, it's, the answer, I love food.
He loves food.
I love food.
I would say this one time or other, like what got me is like his collagen products. And also too, there's one that he makes to help with sleep. And it's really, tastes really good. And I remember, this is when I first met Josh, and he literally goes, and it was the best line. He goes, I had to taste test everything. He goes, I'm going to. And I was like, why? And he goes, I don't want to take something that tastes like sand. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but I remember that line. Like, you can't have something taste like sand, because I think about all the things I take, and they all taste like sand.
Yeah.
Well, the old vegan proteins were the worst.
Yes.
I mean, they literally tasted like sand.
I remember those. I tried a couple of. Didn't last long. It was like, I don't want to eat dirt. I did enough of that in Mississippi. I don't want to go back.
You can't go back.
Can't go back.
Did your parents ever, like, as you got older, first experience with health, like alternative health is like in this area and such. So were you raised mostly just on like on fried food and Southern cooking?
Of course I was. Southern Baptist. It was like every other Sunday was a potluck.
Oh, man.
You know what that is? It's an excuse to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get extra buckets.
So
That's
funny.
all that is.
I always thought this though. Do you guys ever went to my church services? No knock on the church I went to, but they would always say like, take care of the soul, take care of, the heart. But then they would be like, because this is a temple. No joke. And they'd be like, but we're having a fish fry.
Yeah.
We're going to have white potatoes and catfish and all this stuff. And I think about like then I was like, temple wasn't doing too good.
Good food, good meat, good God, let's eat.
That's right.
That was the prayer.
That's great.
Yeah. So I bet right now it has been pretty invaluable maybe to have a friend like you two are close, but to have that friendship, especially with the way things are. With the virus,
Sure,
and with how the world has kind of been on lockdown, or at least the world, everything has been on lockdown. How has it affected you two. Like how, because I know this has been a major shift. I know for us it was. We didn't get to see each other for like 2 months or whatever it's been.
Completely.
Has it? You know, have you guys had to lean on each other more? Like what, you know?
Yes,
what do you think?
Yes, I'll say this for me. It's actually affected my life very little. And the reason being is like my wife and I, we have zero fear about it. Like I think for a lot of people, they're watching the media 24/7 and they believe everything they hear, which is just kind of crazy because you have all of these political agendas happening and agendas of things like pharmaceutical companies. And so for us, there's not a lot of trust and faith there. We really, believe that God is for us, not against us. He has a great plan for our life. And so we just live in faith. Like I've had zero fear this whole time. And I really don't believe anybody should be living in fear. I think that, hey, people can be smart, but smart to me isn't, going and following every government guideline. Smart to me is realizing God gave us a temple and we should be nourishing and caring for it the best we can. And if we're doing that and honoring him with our body, that's going to go a long way. I believe he's our protector. And I also believe, I think about this in the Bible, like they had food laws in the Old Testament. And today, hey, I'm not saying follow every food, I'm not, whether we should or not, my whole thing is, man, just eat healthy. Let's focus on strength. Let's focus on controlling what you can. And that is, eating healthy, spending time with family. The other thing during this time, like I believe that something that I've really feel like if I'm spending time reading the Bible, feeling what God is saying to me, it's like use this time wisely. If you're put in a position, like make lemons out of lemonade, like God has given some people time where, hey, maybe you haven't been able to go to work for 1 month or 2 months. What does that mean? It means more time with your family. Maybe you haven't spent enough time with your family. You're getting extra time with your kids, like extra time connecting with close friends. And so for me, we've connected with Chris, Dr. Chris Moore, a couple other friends of ours. And I guess we've seen less people. We've spent more time with a few people, and specifically our family, enjoying some good food together, that sort of thing. So anyways, all that being said, Chris and I have probably actually hung out a little bit more the past couple months since the virus. And again, we love his friendship, love connecting with him. In fact, like we trust Chris so much, like we had him work on Arwen, our daughter. He's worked on her twice at 2 weeks old and 3, just a couple days ago. And so anyways, and we've enjoyed food, but, he stopped over too and, is, been working on her.
Oh, yeah. I think during the time that when it all started out, it was, you say like being able to have camaraderie. Yeah. Because Josh and his good friend, Dr. Dan and Dr. David, they're good buddies. And, when you have people that you can throw ideas off, like when you hear information out there that you get doubtful about, when you hear about viral infections and immunity, and this is what we do all day. We study this, and then there's those small points that come to you, and you go, I wonder what Josh thinks about that. What do you think about this aspect or this amount of news? Because in the office, when it died down a bit, when it first had these bans, the thing that came in was then you're encountering all the stress that people bring in because they're afraid. And when he said, "Don't live in fear," the hardest, and I think it's part being a teacher. Like the one thing I admire about Josh is like his role as a leader. I really mean that, because then he can say like, we shouldn't be afraid. And the one thing in the office was I had to tell patients, I was like, do you realize fear drives up cortisol and adrenaline, and it will break your body down. The worst thing you can do is keep listening to the news, be informed, but don't listen to it all day. That's how effective it is. So being able to see Josh and bounce ideas off of him, it really did create a cyclical energy. And we both are about yin yang, about the energy that rolls. And I'm thankful because there were times when it didn't get scary in the sense in the office. It was just that things were shifting so differently here, even in Nashville, that when you see somebody say, like, Josh is like, things are going to be all right. Dr. Dan's like, it's going to be okay. And you're like, everybody else is believing, so I'm believing too, And I cherish the times when we have, like, whenever we can see each other. And it's probably the funniest. I was saying this before. You guys might have heard this in the very beginning. But Josh makes me crack up. I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, there's not a lot that'll make me laugh really hard, but he does. So he's got a good funny side. And I always tell him, like, he needs to cut up more, but no. But yes, we've been able to hang on. His little daughter's so pretty, so beautiful.
That's awesome.
She's such sweetie.
She is.
And Papa acts.
I've been looking forward to this because I think you two have such an interesting perspective, like somebody that me or someone like me would not have, because of the way that this whole that the coronavirus has been, there's been constant, I mean, even websites like CNN.com, FoxNews.com, I'm getting like emails from them, and it's like steps to decrease your stress. And one of the first ones is turn off the news. And if the news organization is telling you, you got to be like, wait a second. But how have you guys navigated this? Because there's been this huge, and not just in a friendship realm, because I understand now, like your community, your camaraderie has increased, and I think that's good. It's building your environment, like you were talking about, your personal environment, maybe for your soul more than your body. But with this onslaught of, fear, stress, then you've got the political sides of it where you have, now we've got like social media websites dictating what is and what is not misinformation. And you guys being holistic doctors, I'm sure that, you've had to deal with some of that, because a lot of that is getting really quickly shoved into the misinformation category, versus like comprehensive medicine. Is that what you called it
It's conventional.
Conventional. How is that? This is probably more for me than for the podcast, but this is what I've been wondering about. Like, how have you two, as doctors, holistic doctors, how have you navigated this?
I would say a couple things. I think one thing for me is, control. One, realizing like I can control what I can control, and I'm going to, because you're right. I mean, the censorship is crazy. I remember I went on a mission trip. It was a medical and Christian mission trip over to China years ago. And we were over there in churches, we were over there in hospitals, and just connecting with a lot of college students. And in fact, we actually invested in some kids and gave to where they came over here. They went to school and trained to become doctors, and we sent them back to China. It was pretty awesome. And, like I remember over there having conversations with them, just not being in unbelief that, are you telling me that you can't post certain things, and the government or the actual website person like Google or whoever, they decide if it's posted or not, or if it comes down? And I just couldn't believe it. That's happening right now. Man. It's unbelievable. I have had friends that are in natural medicine that have had many, I'm not talking about a few, I'm talking about many that have had their Facebook pages just deleted. I've had on YouTube and Facebook and Google, they're just taking down videos just that have different opinions. Some that are even conventional medical doctors who have come out and said, you know what, I don't agree with this approach. I think this might be a better approach or more healthy. They're just being deleted. And so I never thought we'd live in a country or a place to where freedom of speech is essentially being violated, and us not being essentially allowed to make our own decisions about our own health or some of the things. And so anyways, for me, like, how do I combat that? I want to mention two things. One, if somebody's watching the news and media all the time, believing everything, one, that's a problem. But I always say, like, I always try and create balance there. Like, I'm going to be informed. And so I might jump on a news site that I feel like it has a more healthy perspective. And then I'm going to spend the equal or more time, at least, in my Bible or something else that's positive, right? If you're in your Bible 0 hours a day, or hey, if it's another personal growth book or another religious book that really is building up your faith and wisdom in this sort of ancient truth, versus you're spending 1 or 5 minutes or 0 minutes a day, and then you're spending 3 hours watching on your phone, on your computer, on the TV, you're watching news. You're giving 3 hours of your brain to this of something, and just knowing you're being moved in that bias, and it's going to drive fear in your life, because they have those countdown timers. How many people are dying? They literally counting down, showing how many people are dying or being diagnosed. So anyways, I think that for me, I spend more time in the Bible and reading things that are positive than the news. And then the other thing I think that's pretty practical is realizing I'm not going to rely on social media. I'm going out now and I'm text messaging people and calling people saying, hey, I want to have and just having a conversation with them. I've been taking the videos I think that are the most beneficial about the truth of what's really going on and how people need to take care of their bodies. And I've probably I told my wife, Chelsea, I saw a really good video on building immunity. And listen, I've written some, I've done some videos on some, but I said, I'm going to send this out to 100 people right now. And I literally just text messaged. I just spent 30 minutes texting all of these people because you know what, sometimes, you know, I think we're moving into a time period too, because we can't even trust the way we're communicating. We're going to need to do it more in person. You know, and I think that also, rather than going because we go so wide in our relationships right now through social media that there's no depth. And I think people are going to get more fulfillment of less relationships, but greater depth. It's a whole,
That's
anyways,
good.
But yeah.
It is good.
It's good. Man, I can't even follow. That's really good.
No, I think that's great.
I agree in that with social media, that now that you see people who do have things that are taken off in the platforms because they just have a difference of opinion about how to build immunity or prevent some infection, it can create this thought in your head when you're creating or writing something that I have to be true to just saying what I believe would make somebody healthy. I have to keep that in my head and stay in a positive note, because there are many things out there that I'll hear. I probably don't agree with some of those things, and it can make me upset. And then you see in some aspects, other health individuals, when they write things, you start to look at things like this, like, oh man, I hope they don't get in trouble for saying that. And I'm like, you shouldn't really have that fear. If a person's saying something about health, then they have some science or scientific proof to back it up. And you hear about some doctors that get taken off and they're like, no, this is how basic biochemistry works.
Well, I'll just share this. Even like my website, drax.com, we were the #1 natural health website in the world. We're still probably ranked 1 or 2. But 2 years ago, people don't realize this. About almost 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, Google went and did what they call an algorithm update. We went from nearly 20 million web visitors a month down to 5. They cut down our viewership by 75%, and all of our views started going to WebMD, Mayo Clinic, and medical sites. And so part of the reason is people don't realize Google owns 2 pharmaceutical companies. Alphabet does, their parent company, and so they're essentially partly a pharmaceutical company. It doesn't help their bottom line for people to learn about natural health. They want people to lean towards pharmaceuticals. So even if you search things that are more natural today, medically driven sites jump up about chemicals and drugs rather than things like nutrition and eating healthy and all these things. So just know, like, we are being highly censored, and we have been for years, but now it's getting worse than ever before. And for me, I'll just share this. I'm just being real vulnerable and just truthful right now. I'm saying everything I can, but like, I own a bigger nutrition company. I'm a part owner, and I have investors and all these people. And so like, if I go out and say too much on these online platforms, the real big ones, like, they'll ban our account. And I feel a responsibility also to the other people that co-own my business. And I don't want them to lose money or finances or anything like that. So it puts me in a hard position. So I say everything I can, truthful wise, and on the positive of, hey, how to build your immune system, nutrition. But going out and speaking out against these large companies, I'm not able to say everything honestly I want to because of censorship.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is. And it's when I first say get into healthcare and being in a small office, but now Josh has been in such a bigger platform. I'm saying, like, even doing small amounts of social media, you do feel the pressure of like, you can't say certain things, or you have to be very kind, because there's tons of politics in health. And you think, oh, you must have known that, Motley. And I'm like, I didn't realize how much over the last 2 years. And I mean, I knew there was some things like, but now I'm like alarmed about how much people can be taken off, or how much you can look at TV and see what things are pushed. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, you can watch somebody that puts a prescription on TV and they'll say something to the extent like, this could cause heart attacks, blindness. I mean, really go through this whole thing. And then I have a patient comes in and goes, hey, Dr. Motley, I'm trying to get pregnant, but do you think it's okay for me to take these, reishi mushroom, or am I like, and then I love them to death, but they're the same patients that they'll matter. They'll take, prescription or something if they do get pregnant. I'm not putting them down. It's just like, it's that how media has put different things out there on the air, and it's one thing safe, but that you have to question that, like natural health. You have to question it. That's what can irritate me.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I do want to mention, just for everyone listening right now too, is just some practical things. Maybe we talk about the immune system for a minute and some things they can do. I want to just say this. Yeah. Like, and you don't have to focus on the negative. Here's what you can know. despite your perspective on all the things going on politically, virus, all that stuff right now, just know like you choose every day if you're going to improve your health or if you're going to harm your health for the most part. And choose to be healthy. Like in Chinese medicine, certain foods were really good for the immune system, and it's foods that are light yellow in color. Foods, so it's something with a little bit of an umami flavor. Certain flavors activate certain organs. So umami really activates your immune system in your lungs. So we're talking about chicken bone broth. Like when I was a kid, I'm sure this is everybody, but my mom, anytime I was sick, she gave me chicken vegetable soup and then ginger ale, which ginger ale actually has like 40 grams of high fructose corn syrup. And if we didn't have that, we did like 7-Up or something. But I look back, I'm like, I was like pounding like 7-Up.
Same.
I'm like, yeah, if my mom didn't love me, I told my mom this because I looked at the ingredients the other day. I'm like, Mom, this is exactly this soup can and this that you gave me. Like, if you didn't love me so much, like I would be, I don't know if I'd be here right now. Cause like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I would stay just sick for weeks when I was a kid. And now I know like, but my mom got that idea because the ancient Chinese remedy when you're sick, and actually Jewish remedy, they call it Jewish penicillin, but it was chicken broth and ginger ale. What color are both of them? Chicken broth is light yellow. Ginger is warming. It's umami. It's light yellow. Garlic, onions, cauliflower. Pears are actually good, that color. So those foods are really good for your immune system, for your lungs. So again, if you're ever not feeling well or you just want to strengthen your immune system, make sure you're getting bone broth, herbs like ginger, garlic, as much as you can. And there's some other really good remedies that I recommend too. Elderberry is fantastic for your immune system. Echinacea is great, especially I would say elderberry can be taken for moderate periods of time. Echinacea, if you feel like you're getting sick. But then astragalus is a long-term immunity, astragalus and reishi. Those are two of my favorite long-term immune. And those are both sort of like reishi's a little bit red. It's connected with other elements, but it actually still supports your immune system. And I think those things are really fantastic for building immunity. And from nutrients, you want to get out in the sun. I think grounding and walking outside in the sun. And then zinc and vitamin C. Zinc is probably one of the biggest things people are missing if you're struggling also with skin issues like acne or gut issues. Zinc is responsible for, it's known as sort of vitamin C is known as the immune system vitamin. Zinc is the immune system mineral, but it also helps with gut repair, acne, skin, all kinds of stuff. And so those are some of the top things I think people could, start doing.
Yeah, that's so great. And you have the information on drax.com, guys, because if you guys have any questions, check his website out. There's so much good info. I mean, I can't believe how many videos you put out in your lifetime. I mean, there's thousands of videos.
It's a lot. Yeah, and if you want to learn more too, you can always do a Google search, just search, but type my name in, or it's hard to find because Google now, but just search like Dr. Axe. If you have hypothyroidism, search Dr. Axe hypothyroidism, Dr. Axe candida, or whatever you're struggling with. And we've written a lot of articles. You can do the same searches on YouTube, and I've put out a lot of stuff there.
I think that when we, the one common ground I think that when Josh and I talk about is like immune system, like we can nerd out on, is that my mom's a little Asian lady, and she's dying to meet Josh. I mean, really, truly.
We got to hang.
We got to hang. But the thing that I grew up on was mom always made beef broth and made it, and when I was a kid, and she put onions in it. And that was one soup that you would eat, and you could make a porridge out of it when you're a kid. You put a little rice and make it like an oatmeal. And whenever I got sick, that was the first thing that she would make me drink, basically. And my friends thought it was weird because even then, when they're younger too, you can say that a lot of Asian kids are smart, but what do they feed you? They feed you dried minnows or dried anchovies, and what it does is like a lot of fats in there, and you have like a lot of fats and a lot of beef broth and bone broth. And my mom literally go to like Whole Foods, and her first stop is to get the bones, like the whole bones.
Yep.
Crazy though, and Josh knows this, but you guys out there, when you get the bone broth, like when you get his product, it is so much easier. This is truth. If you go out there and you got normal bones, like from just hate to say it, like just a conventional store that they don't use like organic produce and such, you can taste the difference between an organic bone broth, beef broth, than one that's been filled with antibiotics. No joke. Because you can tell, like when I go there, my mom, one time she will say, smell. And she used to tell you, smell. And you smell it and you go, I don't smell right. And she goes, see? She goes, too much blood in the bone. And then whenever you got a clean one. So then my sisters got on Josh's stuff, and my mom's like, oh, good. And that's all she says.
Good.
See, I mean,
that's
but anyway,
good.
but yeah. but all a testament to what Josh has accomplished. And I want to say, like, what are the things like coming down the road, brother? What do you got coming down this road?
Oh man, I'm actually writing a new book, and this is the book I'm most excited about. It's called Ancient Remedies, and the entire book is really going through a lot of the stuff we've talked about. It really covers. It's a personalized medicine book. People can go and find what type they are, so they can learn what diet is best for them. There's sort of 5 different ancient diets. That's based on Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And then we go through a health plan for over 70 different conditions. So everything from, again, hypothyroidism, infertility, migraine headaches, all this stuff. And I cover a lot of herbs too. I go through every herb that's good for different conditions. And so anyways, I'm super excited about that. That comes out February 2021. But excited about that. And man, also just I'm excited about raising our baby girl. That's exciting. And so, I mean, it's been cool. I'll just say this too. Like, I have the most amazing wife ever. And if you want to follow her on Instagram, she's at Dr. Chelsea Axe. She posts a lot of beauty tips and health tips and being a mom, like a mom that's bringing up our kids pretty natural. But, seeing her like just take care of Arwen and, and seeing the birth process too. I'll just mention this. Like, we did a at-home birth in a tub, and we had our couple of midwives at our house during the process. But man, just what a beautiful experience. Like a spiritual experience as well at the same time. Sort of just looking at. It's just so amazing how God created the body, that whole process. And Chelsea's just recovered really quickly, but also, it's a lot. But anyways, so just raising our daughter, and then what else? Just continue to get content out there, just trying to get truth out there, and then some good meals.
Good meals, so things that don't taste like sand.
With our buddy here, we were just talking about doing some broth and food. We're doing dinner tomorrow. We're going to a good Italian place.
Good Italian, yeah,
nice.
And tomorrow night,
it'll be fun. And after when one of our favorite Japanese restaurants opens back up, we'll hit that one.
Yeah,
too.
Our sushi. We do the Toro. The
oh yeah, I just love it. I know this is like, first of all, Dr. Chelsea, she's a champ, and I would say this, like, so disciplined and the sweetest girl, smart, and when you see the family together, it's like Josh. I used to always think, like, you. When I look at you, it's like I think there are people that are meant to be good dads. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
And I'd say this, and they need to be dads, especially like of girls. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell the dads that are gonna be good girl dads because they'll have a leader within you, and you see that. And so first, Chelsea, we love you, and Josh, yes, we go grab some good food, but overall, man, I'm just thankful that we've been able to come into contact in our lives and just be friends. And he's gonna keep putting out content, and I want you guys to go check his stuff out, check all his books out, go to at Dr. Axe on Instagram and follow him. Just saying, you've been a huge influence on my life, and I'm so thankful we get to go out and have friendship and talk about health, all things health, basically.
Great.
So what we want to do is just keep bugging Josh whenever he's ever free to come back. Sometime.
Hey, let me know anytime.
But thank you, brother. And guys, look out for his book. And we don't say thank you. He has a busy schedule, and he's
busy guy.
Yeah, and we know that he's going to be hitting it hard when everything gets lifted up. Dude. So he's got more products coming out. So keep an eye out for him. Thank you again, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to see you again. I guess after a long time. I got to get your cookbook so I can try to impress my wife. I think she's kind of sick of me. Maybe that'll work.
It's no.
We'll see what'll happen. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Well, it was an honor, and again, I love you guys. You guys are doing a great service here, and thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you soon.